You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of ShopPay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
On December 12th, Disney Plus invites you to go behind the scenes with Taylor Swift in an exclusive 6-episode docuseries.
I wanted to give something to the fans that they didn't expect.
The only thing left is to close the book.
The end of an era. And don't miss Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, featuring for the first time the Tortured Poets Department. Streaming December 12th, only on Disney Plus.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I love you. Thank you so much for hanging out. I truly appreciate you. This week, I don't actually have a guest that's been on the show before. That's been the story of 2026, is a lot of updates, and there will be a lot of those as we go on. But today, I'm talking to somebody that I've never talked to before, and that is producer Kris Crummett. Kris is a mastering engineer, a recording engineer, a producer, a man of many talents, a guitar nerd, a gear nerd, a guy that just really loves music and sound and has made it his entire career. And we live like remarkably close to each other, as we discuss on this episode, despite doing the whole remote recording thing for this. I originally intended to get him on to kind of get nerdy about maybe some mixing tips or mastering tips or recording techniques or maybe production ideas. Instead, we just kind of went off the rails, talked about our careers, talked about being dads, talked about all kinds of stuff. And I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. I'll get him on another time to dive into some of the technical weeds, and we'll have some fun with that at some point. But I should stop rambling so we can get to rambling. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland. With me today, I have Kris Crummett. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just here bright and early for your podcast.
Is this bright and early? I always
a
feel
little
like
bit. A little bit. I know it's not that early, but it is. I've been working late. I've been up at the 4 or 5 a.m. Work thing.
Schedule.
I'm sorry, but you're frozen.
Oh, it might be that way for just a second. It should clear up in a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. As long as you can still hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a night owl too, and I'm usually up till about 1-ish, sometimes a little bit later.
That's not too bad.
I don't like to schedule anything before 11, just in case.
Yeah, I appreciate it. 11's like the threshold. 11's doable for sure.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing?
To be awake. I've been up since 8:30, but it's actually being fully awake and aware takes a little minute for me.
I am one of those people, and I've met a handful of others too, that I take forever to wake up. After I'm actually up and physically out of bed, I'm not necessarily awake, and I can't see. I'm just like,
yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. My wife doesn't understand. She's like, why can't you wake up? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I've been like this my whole life. I can't fix it at this point.
Yeah.
So.
I'm born nocturnal. I've always been. Even when I was a kid, I was up way, way too late all the time. Mm-hmm. Mornings are not. I just wasn't built for it.
No. Well, we found ourselves in a good industry for being nocturnal.
Yeah.
So what are you doing it for in the morning?
Most of the time I'm working on masters, working on people's projects, mixing stuff. I don't do a lot of tracking anymore, but when I track, I definitely don't track that late.
Sure.
Just always working on stuff. I'm not hanging out. Like if I'm done working for some reason, I'll go to bed. I'm not just staying up till 4 or 5 for no reason.
Right.
And I try to I start work a lot later sometimes because I have kids, and I try to be around when they're off school and stuff, which I know I could get up at 5 and do it the other way around. But a lot of times it's backwards. When the weather's nicer, I get my schedule turned around and I get up and I'll walk with them to school or ride with them to school. But it's pretty cold right now, so not doing that, and I'm kind of back in my bad habits of staying up late.
I feel you, man. Well, let's get the Kris story, because we are both Oregonians. In fact, It's kind of funny that we're doing this remotely, but it's something.
Are you in Portland?
I'm in Oregon City. So I always say
you're so close to me.
I say Portland because no one knows where Oregon City is.
Yeah.
So that's
for
why.
Sure.
But and then we've had just looking at your background and stuff, it's like, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing. We kind of got that going on with each other. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that person, or I've been around that person before. Oh, and he produced that. Oh, I listened to that all the time. Oh,
nice.
Look at this. In fact, I believe Rise Records sponsored my high school battle of the bands. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Oregon City High School, or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Nice. That doesn't surprise me. They were based out of Happy Valley for a long time. So
the post office that they were working out of at the time, because I remember you had to submit something or whatever to them. I don't remember how exactly it worked. It was an Oregon City address. I just didn't know exactly where it was at. So
yeah, I think he was in that part of Happy Valley where it was basically, I don't know, it matters because he hasn't lived there in over a decade, but he was basically in Oregon City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. It's a crazy, crazy time. But going back to that time, I want to hear your story. How did you get into all this? You've done so many projects, and I know it didn't just come out of the blue. So how did you get into all this? Let's go way, way back.
Well, I've been a music person since I was born. My mom likes to brag about the fact that she saw Queen live when she was 8 months pregnant with me.
That's worth bragging about. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the start of everything, apparently. But I was born in 82. So I was there for the heyday of MTV, when MTV was just music videos, nonstop. And, my parents would basically just plop me down on the couch and do their stuff. And I would watch MTV all day, Channel 32. And I just had it in my head from my earliest memories that I was going to be a rock star, or I was going to be I was going to be the singer in a band or be in a band somehow. I think there was a point where the California Raisins had me wanting to play saxophone, but yes. I was all over the place as a kid, but rock music was always there for me and in my blood. And so, I started playing music pretty young. And both my parents are musicians, and my dad was a drummer, and he had his own PA setup, multiple microphones and a PA, an old PV mixer and stuff. And when I started playing guitar more, I was learning guitar and drums at the same time. I was always singing as a kid, and I was probably 5th grade, I think. I started writing my own songs.
Oh wow!
And my dad was like, "Well, you should record them, you're learning to write them." And so he had this one of those tape players from the 70s that cassette tape players that would let you record the left channel and the right channel separately. So he taught me how to play the drums with some mic set up through the PA, summed into that one channel, and then I'd play my guitar and sing to 2 other mics into the other channel, right? And it had the little knob with the left channel, right channel, independent volume. So I would just kind of mix my own stuff, and I was doing it a lot. It was kind of all, I was doing some sports, and I was racing BMX pretty seriously at the time. And slowly music kind of just took over, and my dad saw that. And I can't remember how it came about, but I think it was like a combination of money from mowing lawns and stuff and some birthday money and stuff. And then he helped me with the last little bit to buy a 4-track cassette player. That was my recording until like probably 8th grade or so. And then he saw how into it I was, and he helped me get an ADAT, which was 8 tracks. And then he had a weird situation where he acquired another ADAT from a guy that he bailed out of jail and traded him the second ADAT. Okay. So I had 16 tracks, like by the time I was, I think 15 or so.
Okay.
So like it was a big deal, and I had like this Mackie mixer, 16 tracks. And so I was in bands pretty actively, and I was playing with people who were way older. I was like 15. I was in bands with, because I couldn't even drive yet. And I was in bands with all these 18 and 19-year-olds. But for some reason, all the 18 and 19-year-olds also didn't have their license. So by the time I turned 16 and I'd been in the band for like a year, I was finally able to drive everyone around, which is really funny, like looking back on it. And one of them, I give him crap because he didn't get his license until he was like 40, like a few years ago.
Whoa.
And he got it just for the sole purpose of being a Lyft driver. And that's a little scary.
That's a little freaky, yeah.
Yeah. My driver didn't drive for 40 years. Anyways, so that was, and we were playing shows a lot. I grew up in Hillsboro, which is, for people who don't know, it's about 30 minutes from Portland, depending on where you're going. And we played shows in town. At that time you could play in a bar if you were 18, and I was 15 and 16, but I would just sneak in the back door, and everyone else in my band was 18, and they would set up I was a drummer in this band, and they would set up my drums, and I would just run in the back door and right on the stage right before our set, before anyone could say anything. And I'm a tall guy, so I was very baby faced, but I could get away with it because I was 15 and I was like 6'5". So
yeah, we're not going to question it too much.
Yeah, it wasn't like too big of a deal, and I was kind of hiding in the shadows, but I definitely got called out a few times. Like after the show, they're like, "Hey, I don't think we carded you." And I was like, "Oh yeah, let me go get it. It's in the car." And then I'd just be outside and then be like, "Oh yeah, Kris is gone. I guess we gotta load his stuff out." But doing that, we played a lot of shows, and I met a lot of people like back behind bars, and like in alleys meeting other bands and stuff while I was sitting back there being a kid, not drinking. And people would hear our demos and be like, "Hey, where'd you record this? Like it's better than than the actual like record we made sounds like, where'd you do this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did it. I have 16 tracks, just doing it in a bedroom in my house." And so I would convince bands to come over and record stuff for free, and like lunch money kind of stuff. Like, remember one time I charged a band $100 for like 5 songs, and I thought I was rich, and it was just stuff like that. And it was just playing in bands and doing the studio thing. And then by the time I was 18, I had a full-time job and decided that I needed to like put everything I had into the studio and really give it a shot. Cause I had like a couple bands that were getting signed that I knew well and had done demos for, and the labels were like, maybe you should record some of the songs with this guy for the record and see how it goes. So I was like, well, I gotta be serious if these bands are coming to me and there's like label talk and stuff. So I was working full time, and I put every penny I had. I was still living at home. I put every penny I had into studio stuff. My dad and I had built this like section in our garage that was like a separate room that was like the first iteration of Interlace Audio, which is the name of my studio. In like 2002, I think 2001 or so, 2002, we built that and moved the studio out there. So I was out of the house and not making noise in the house and stuff. And that stayed my studio till like 2007. And I did a lot of records in that single room spot. And then I moved some of the stuff into like the car section of the garage for a while, and built that out a little bit. I had that for 2008. I made like 10 records with that setup in a very short period of time that a lot of people know. It was like everything from Lower Definition to the second Gavin Dance record. And
wow. All in the garage.
Emarosa, a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. And I mean, before that, like was still in the garage. It was just like a room in the garage. Drop Dead Gorgeous, Fear Before the March of Flames, Anatomy of a Ghost, who ended up becoming Portugal the Man. Lonely
good friend
Kings.
with Dewey from
What's that?
I'm a good friend with Dewey.
Yeah. He's got a podcast too. Yeah. Great guy. Very cool. I saw him in like Lowe's or something the other day. It was very random. I hadn't seen him in years.
He's looking good. He's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah. He's doing great. But yeah, that was kind of it was one of those things that I never thought there was any, I thought I was going to do the band thing and the rock star thing. And I did some tours and stuff, but I was out on tour and labels were like, I was out on tour making no money, playing for like 20 to 50 people a night if we were lucky. And labels were calling me like, we're trying to pay you to make these records. Like, what are you doing being gone 2 months at a time? Making no money, like we need you home to do this stuff. And I was like, all right, yeah, I guess I'm not a rock star. I guess that's not me. I guess that's not what I'm doing. So
rock star adjacent though.
It's so much better. I love what I do and it's awesome. I just, I had to pursue that dream and it didn't work out, but I got as close to it as possible.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. So I knew that I didn't want. If I could have snapped my fingers and been in a very successful band, that would have been great, of course.
Yeah.
But I have all these things working against me in that are personal. I'm a kind of a homebody guy. I like to travel, but like I love coming home. I love my home. I love the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. And as the audience knows, I hate road trips. So I knew that I was not going to be a road dog. And like, that's what is required even today. Maybe a little less so today. But it's still required. And so I knew that wasn't going to happen. And instead of doing what you did and realizing there were other paths, I just was like, well, I guess music's not for me. I don't get to, it'll just be my passion and hobby, but I'm never going to actually get to do anything with it. And just kind of ran down a completely different trail for a long time until I realized that there were other options, and I was obsessed with guitar gear and sound and I loved being in studios, though I'm not an engineer by any stretch. I loved the environment of being in studios and writing and recording, and I didn't really think, oh, maybe there's a way to turn that into something. I was just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna keep turning wrenches. And then I figured out that there was this podcasting thing in about 2016.
Yeah. The changing, the advancement of the internet and the way everything changed really opened up a lot of doors for people. I just had a really similar conversation with a guy who's now like has a very successful plugin business.
Oh, cool.
And he kind of went through the same thing of like the band thing didn't work out, so he was doing the full-time job thing, and then all of a sudden he was, has a successful business in the music world. So it's interesting how that works out. Yeah.
But I mean, I just say all that to say, like, you had the thought that there were other options. And I think a lot of people fall into the category with me that are like, oh, if I can't be the person on stage, there's nothing in the industry for me.
Yeah.
When the reality is there's hundreds, if not thousands of other options.
Oh yeah.
For being close to music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people, I mean, there's ways to make music now with not necessarily having to tour either. I love touring, to be honest. I'm still like a road trip guy through and through. But
a lot of people
I get that it's not for everybody. I mean, it's a very specific kind of life. Being somewhere different, everything changing constantly. But yeah, there's endless options. And I try to, I work, I frequently work with like younger interns and stuff too. And I'll kind of like sort of mentor people that, younger people that are coming up and trying to figure out what they want to do in music. With social media and stuff, people hit me up all the time asking me about like, what's this like? What kind of path did you take and stuff? And for me, it was different because I was already in it before I realized I was in it, right? Like, recording wasn't ever what I set out to do. It was just a means to an end because I didn't have the money to record at other studios, or I didn't really even realize that was an option. by the time I was old enough to do that stuff. But there's a lot of options in the music world. You don't have to be stuck on the road. You don't have to be stuck in a band. But if you're into that, being on the road is pretty cool, and being in bands is pretty cool. But there are definitely lots of options.
If you're wired for it, nothing else is really going to scratch that itch, for sure.
Yeah. It's true. Mm-hmm. It's true. Now I'm like a 43-year-old guy with kids and a travel trailer and a truck, and we get out whenever we can because I still like want to live that road fantasy, but I'm doing it in the dad way.
Hey, it's more comfortable.
Oh, it's so much more comfortable, man. If I'd been touring with a queen bed, oh my God, I probably would have just been like, yeah, this, I'm not recording. I'm just sleeping good every night. But that's not what was happening.
Mm-hmm. So going backwards a little bit, what do you think, because you were recording out of necessity, not necessarily passion, though it obviously evolved over time. What was it about those early demos that people were hearing that you think maybe, like, were there some tricks you learned by accident? Or what was it about those early demos that made people go, these are better than the pro jobs that we're doing?
Part of it was the fact that, I think part of it was just the fact that I was young enough to be really in touch with what was happening in music at that time. It's kind of hard to fully explain how big the shift was in music in the 90s. But like, I was looking at this the other day. If you're on Tidal or Spotify and you look like Best in Rock Playlist 1990, and then you look at Best in Rock Playlist 1991, it's crazy. 1990 is like all this hair metal and like just stuff. It's cool. Like if you're into that, it's cool for sure. And then 91 is like alt rock and like grunge, and it's just like the difference. I don't think there's 2 years, maybe 97 and 98, but anyway, I don't think there's 2 years that have a more stark difference in genres. So everyone that was recording in like when I was starting in like 96, 97, 98, 99, these were all older guys that were either like, I'm into Led Zeppelin and I'm going to record you with 3 microphones, even though that's not what they did, but they were just stuck on like that. But these bands are playing like pop punk or like, into 98, 99, 2000, starting to play heavier music, like The Used and stuff, new metal and stuff like that.
Yeah, things
like
are getting down-tuned.
A little later, but yeah, down-tuned stuff. And you're not doing that with like 2 microphones. And then the other half of the people that were making, that were recording on a budget, I'm not talking about like big producers or anything, but like guys in Portland that have studios that are old enough to like have studios, are either the 70s guys or they were like the 80s guys that everything had to have, massive reverbs, and like they were still recording onto these actual like 8-track tape machines, like Tascam tape machines that were were consumer models, and they were really noisy and they just didn't sound that good. And so I knew, like, I was in tune with what was going on. I was recording digitally. ADATs didn't have a lot of editing capabilities yet, but by the time, only like 3 or 4 years into it, I was using Pro Tools to edit. I had like an 8-track version of Pro Tools in like 98, I think is when I got it.
Oh, wow.
And there was better versions of Pro Tools. I was just using like the cheap version, and that with the ADAT, you could light pipe to your computer. My computer wasn't strong enough to actually record to, which is hilarious, but I could light pipe to it and do editing and like edit out noise and do a little bit of like comping and stuff on vocals. And so that just wasn't stuff that people were doing locally, right? Like they were in LA, obviously, like, and they were in New York, but in Portland, people weren't really doing that stuff. So the fact that I was a kind of a computer nerd and like young enough to understand what was cool now, as opposed to, trying to push to 3-decade-old ideology onto current music, it helped me a lot. And so that's definitely what people heard,
Hey, Rocky.
What's up, Vincent?
Did you hear about the latest?
Latest what?
The latest drop from Maris. It's totally insane.
No, tell me more.
Maris just released Enzo X.
What's that?
Enzo X is a supernova expansion from the original Enzo into the highest quality and most flexible studio synthesizer ever created in a pedal format.
Whoa!
Enzo X combines 5 synth types, 5 drives, 3 reverbs, and 5 modulations. It also includes a full 2.5 second stereo delay, all in one pedal.
That sounds hard to use.
It's not. The UI is from the same family as the Mercury X and the LVX. It's super easy to dive in and see exactly what you are tweaking in real time.
Oh, I see. It's right there on the screen.
Yep.
Is it just for guitars, though?
Nope. You can plug almost anything into the Enzo X, including your MIDI controller.
That sounds incredible. Where do I get it?
You can pick up Enzo X online at maris.us or at any of their fine retailers across the globe.
Did you just say across the globe?
They know what I meant.
Wait, are we getting paid for this?
I'm still waiting on that cash money from last time.
He better at least give us pizza for dinner.
I'm not giving him his Enzo X back until he does.
For more information, make sure you check out maris.us, and apparently I have to go order a pizza. How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services, and it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there. We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the Gear Exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby because, let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff. Yeah,
and I was also a sorry, I mean,
no, go ahead.
I was also a musician too, which helped a lot. Like, I can't tell you how many times people be cutting demos and I'd just be like, hand me the guitar. Like, or, you know, even at a young age, someone would leave and I would just rip. I'm not like an amazing guitar player, but at the time I could rip rhythm guitars, you know, and like have them sounding great and people come back and be like, wow, this is so good. You know, sitting on drums. I used to do a lot of stuff like that. So I had that advantage too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such an interesting thing to think about that, especially now that we're knocking on the door of being the older generation, and
absolutely.
It's like, what are them kids doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important to try to stay up to date with music technology and music and stuff. And some of it I don't get, and I don't have a problem with that. Like, not to jump around too much, but like, there's a lot of, like, I don't do as much production now because there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's certain like popular genres that just really aren't my thing. And I'm aware that I don't fully understand them and haven't immersed myself in them. So working in the like mixing side of it or working on the mastering side of it, mostly on the mastering side of it, that's more audio based and not like, you know, production and musical decision based. So it's fine for me to hop genres as a mastering engineer because I understand what they want from a sonic point of view, right? Like that makes sense to me. From an emotional point of view, and the music, like I don't always, as an older person, I don't always get it, and I understand that, and that's why I don't really take on projects like that, and I've tried to learn to be conscious about that. And a lot of the stuff I do take on now is stuff that's inspired by like, decade old, 2 decade old stuff, 3 decade old stuff, which is fine. There's always music like that, but it's different. The thing is like, music in the early 2000s and music in the rock world now is, in my opinion, not nearly as drastic as, it's drastic in like the hip hop world and pop and stuff, but in the rock world, I don't think it's as drastic as like that shift from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think by the time we got to the 2000s, things kind of evened out because recording mediums didn't change. There wasn't like really massive advancements in technology after 2002. Like there have been, but it's all kind of like we've been recording in Pro Tools since 2000. Like the world has been. So it's not like in the 60s where it was like 4 tracks and then, oh my God, we have 8, 16 in the 70s and the 80s. It's like, wow, there's like digital reverb and, drum machines and stuff. And then after that, things by the 2000s, things kind of evened out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing right now, I'm sure that everybody's thinking right in the back of their mind is like, what's AI going to do?
For sure. You're right. We are on the cusp of a big change. It hasn't changed for a lot of times, but we are in the middle of like a big change. And yeah, that's an interesting conversation, but I don't know how, I don't know if it's going to affect things as much as people think in regards to, probably like 90% of the music people enjoy. There will be new genres and there's already like problems with Spotify pushing AI bands that they own, and stuff like that. But, I think, I'm not in denial that it exists, but I think there's a lot of humps to get over, before it's really the thing that people think it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is just me being a cranky old man, but part of me thinks that with the exception of the internet itself, I don't feel like we've seen and that's a big one, admittedly, that's a big one, but like, I don't think we've seen the revolutions that people always say they're going to be. They're like, oh, electric cars are going to take over the world.
Yep.
They haven't. They've gained a lot of market share, and maybe they will eventually, but it hasn't happened nearly on the timeline that people predicted that it would. And AI's kind of in my brain following the same logic, though. There's an article going around right now from a AI insider guy that is interesting, and he makes some very interesting points, but I just don't see it replacing things quite in the same way as far as stuff that people care about. Will it erase elevator music and hold music and things like that? Yeah, those jobs are probably going to go away because that's not anything that anybody really cares about.
Yep.
But I say this all the time, like, nobody really cared to go see the Tupac hologram.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not the same thing. Is it kind of interesting? Is it novel? Yeah, sure. But nobody's going to go pay at a large scale, at least not probably in my lifetime, to go see a artificial band. Like,
yeah, totally.
I just don't see that
and if
happening.
they do, it's going to be a very specific thing. And I read on social media, I see people being like, oh, I can't believe this band is AI. I really like them. And that doesn't surprise me, but I think it's like, in my opinion, it's one of those things where it's gonna kind of end up its own genre, and its own genre is gonna be flooded so hard that I just think it's gonna be its own thing. I think people are always gonna want real humans making music as well, and I think there's gonna be some backlash. I think there's gonna be some counterculture around it. There's already like a counterculture building around anti-AI, and I think if anything big comes out of the AI situation, aside from like it creating its own thing and having its own, if we're talking about AI music strictly, it'll be its own thing. It'll probably be around forever at this point, and that's fine. New genres come up. It is what it is. But there's this counterculture building that I think if anything really big comes from the AI push, it's going to be, I think we're going to hear a lot more organic music. Like people are going to, like, I feel like that's what happened in 91. If we want to go full circle here, everyone was fucking sick of drum machines. They were sick of like big reverbs and big hair. And they were like, I don't relate to this Aquanet spandex drum machine at all, which, I say it like that, but I do like that music. but you know, people were there, you know, in real life, they're like, I don't relate to this. Like this isn't me. And then bands like Nirvana and Alice in Chains came on the scene, and they were like real bands playing real music, and their organic sounds like a lot. I mean, there's tons of other bands too, but those organic sounds like changed everything and laid the way for music for a long time. And I think I feel like we're in that shift right now as far as like guitar based music is concerned. And I'm honestly, hip hop might kind of go that way too. Not that I think it'll be more organic, but I think we'll get more like serious hip hop, you know? I think people want to feel things, and people want to relate to the music that they listen to. And we've gone down this direction of like more editing, and it's cool, and so much good music's been made that way. But it's kind of like a funnel where like the more you homogenize things, the more they all start to sound the same. And I think AI is going to be like the little pinhole in that funnel that clogs it, and it's going to back up, and everyone's going to be like, oh my, I'm so sick of this. Like, give me something that sounds real. And I have a feeling it's just going to spawn kind of a renaissance of certain genres and certain types of music that are more organic sounding and feeling, even if they're not. But like, I think people are going to like crave things that aren't AI. It's social media is doing the same thing, man. We're seeing people like, you know, TikTok was kind of the like final boss of social media, where like, and now that TikTok is changing, I think a lot of people are like, and all the political climate and stuff, like people are like, get me off my phone, like get me out, like get me into the real world, you know. And that's not necessarily great for a podcast. Stay on your phone long enough to listen to this, please. But you know, I think that's what's happening, and I think it's great, and it'll probably funnel around, and people will go back to their phones, and you know.
Well, and I think there's a difference too in, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't make this stuff, and I certainly do, but in short form, you know, little attention grabbing things, I've gotten a lot of value out of some of that stuff, whether I find it funny or informative or whatever, some combination of the two. I just think we have a tendency, and I do this too, to view like social media bad. Look at all the bad stuff that it's done. Yeah. It's done so much bad stuff, but it's actually done a lot of cool stuff too. Like, and for me in particular, like all of my like current career comes out of social media at some point. Like I built it on social media at first without ever, I mean, I was late to the game. I didn't even get on Instagram until like 2016. Yeah. My first post was like a vintage Ampeg. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Here's a photo of a amp. Yeah. Oh, wow. People are seeing it. What? This is weird. You know? And so I came to it pretty late. I didn't even have a MySpace page. And everything has come out of social media for me. Now, it's not that I don't recognize that there are a lot of bad things. I just think it's easy as humans. We're kind of programmed to be attracted to the bad things while ignoring the good things. Yeah. When in reality, like, my life is vastly improved because of social media, and maybe not everybody can say that, but mine certainly has. My job's way cooler now. The things I get to do, the people I get to interact with is way, way better. I mean, I met one of my best friends and business partner because he DM'd me on Instagram. Yeah. You know, that's Scott. Everybody who's listening probably knows that already. And like, I don't know. I don't think it's all bad. And I think...
No, definitely not.
I think it needs to become... People need to view it more as a tool than a time suck. I think like use it more intentionally and it'll be better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I've worked on so many records that came from Instagram DMs. Instagram for some reason is like the one. Some people are Facebook people. I know people that are like, I have nobody on IG, but people message me all day on Facebook. And for whatever reason, I never got traction on Facebook. But no, I'm definitely not discounting the value. And I don't think social media is evil by any stretch. I think just like it's just an oversaturation, right? Like, and like you said, like using it more intentionally is important. But I think that it's like anything in life, you know, we go through these eras where like, it's like cable TV used to be, right? Like, before social media, you know, there was people who didn't have cable at all and thought cable was the devil, you know, and like, or TV was the devil, you know, and then it was like, oh, I have a TV, but we don't have cable. But then there was people who actually like sat and watched cable all day to the point that it was unhealthy, right? So like you're saying, it's just using the media with intention and being in control with your life. And I didn't come on here to like, fight some war for or against social media or anything.
Oh no,
we're just talking about like the zeitgeist, and I feel like there's I can feel this change happening where people are like, you know, let's turn the page on this. And I think a lot of it's driven not by like stuff like this or informative stuff, but there's just so much. It's like you can't. There's so much negativity on social media right now, especially in the last year, but really since feels like a freaking decade now, and it's just like built. And I think we're just at a point where a lot of people are like ready to turn the page. And I don't think that people are going to stop using social media or stop using their phone, but I think there's just going to be this. We saw actually, you know, I don't want to stay on this for too long, but we saw it in like 2022, 2023, like after COVID, so many people were like, I'm done being at home. Like even homebodies, you know, were like, I got to see a show. I think tours, you know, it seems like tours have been doing really well. Bands that I used to see play pre-COVID, I was seeing certain bands play like 800 cap venues that are playing like 2,500 cap venues now. You know what I mean? Like I think people, it really just like put it into perspective how much it meant to people to go out and be social and stuff. And I think we're kind of like seeing that swing around again, even though it's kind of a short swing this time. But
I think it's I think it's worth talking about though. I mean, I just like anybody else get sucked into rabbit holes on social and like, well, finally it's like, oh, I spent a half hour. I went to go look at the time, and now here I am 20 minutes later looking at some cat doing something. Like, why is that? And I think I've found like little hacks for that seem dumb, but end up kind of when you stack them up, keep you kind of on the straight and narrow, for lack of a better term. Just like one thing that I think a lot of people do, and I do too, is you're sitting there watching a movie or something, and you find yourself whipping your phone out to do something, and now you're looking at two screens, and you're not really looking at either of them. And the like thing that I've done when I like really want to engage with something is I intentionally take the phone and I throw it across the room to the other couch. To where it's like, okay, now I got to get up. And for the first 5 minutes, I still find myself kind of reaching for it. And then after that, nothing. It's like it's not even there. It doesn't matter at all. I forget that it's even there.
I have my own versions of that for sure. If we're watching a movie or something, I'll just put the phone in the other room. When I'm in here, a lot of times I put my phone like back here. So I can if I really need to hear it, I can hear it buzz, but I can't you can't really see, but I can't quite reach it, right?
It's weird how
because
small
if
of a
it's
barrier
within reach, you don't even think about it, and you're just like, oh, what? I've been looking at my phone for 20 minutes. I don't even remember picking it up. So I'm with you. It's the putting it out of reach is good. I love when I can turn it off. altogether. But I still use it, and I enjoy the things that I get out of it. And honestly, podcasts are like my number one thing that I enjoy with the phone.
Me too. Not just because I do one.
Yeah, but, no, I'm a listening guy, so I like I do way better in life if I'm like listening to a podcast while I'm trying to get stuff done, whether it's around the house or like shopping or driving or whatever.
Isn't it weird? Like the device that just is the most distracting helps me focus on menial tasks. So I'm like, I gotta wash the car, whereas like, or mow the lawn or whatever. If I had to just do that, like I did for many, many years, it's hard for me with my little weird, I don't know if it's actual OCD, but it feels like OCD brain, like, oh, look, a squirrel's over there. Like, oh, what's going on over there? Like, I get so distracted. But if I have the headphones on and I'm kind of engaged with that, I can stay on a menial task and actually get it done.
Yep.
It's a weird productivity hack in some ways. So it's strange.
Same. Yeah. It's sometimes I'm distracted. Sometimes I just think too hard. I'm just like, I just start thinking about something and I'm thinking like way too deeply about it and like planning it out and like figuring it out in my head and doing the equations for something. And then I'm like, I'm not supposed to be trying to remember what some basketball player did 30 years ago on February 27th. Like, I'm supposed to be mowing the lawn.
Right.
So it helps me just like not get too deep into my own head and stay focused on the task at hand.
Yeah. And learn stuff and get entertained and all. It's all.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is like music used to be that for me. When I was younger, that's why I was so obsessed with music, because I always had my headphones on. Even in school, like as soon as a class was done, I'd throw those headphones on and I'd be like, I got to get to my other class. I'm not talking to my friends in the hall. I'm not going to the principal's office again for showing up late because I got sidetracked and I was hanging out with people and stuff. And it's like headphones on, one song, and I'm at my next class. Same with walking home. Same with doing anything when I was a kid. It was all music. But now 12 hours of my day is music. And so when I'm trying to do stuff, I'm probably not really listening to music. I'm usually listening to podcasts. But I do, like, when my kids are in the car and stuff, and, when we're just hanging out, it's music for sure.
Yeah.
But when I'm trying to get stuff done, for me, the music thing is so work-related that it's not a healthy thing to do.
Well, I imagine you're like me, maybe even to a stronger degree, where the music comes on and you can't help it at this point. Even if I hear it in like the grocery store or something, I'm going like, what did they do there? What is that? Like I'm thinking actively about it. And so it's a little harder for it to be a it's harder for it to be it's not that it's harder for me to enjoy it. It's just, it becomes analytical sometimes without me intending on it being.
Yeah, I had that for a long time. And I got to the point where I was like starting to hate music, like in my late 20s, early 30s. Because every time I listened to a song, I couldn't really enjoy it because I was just listening to like frequencies and, why is this happening and all that. And it got to the point where I felt like I had to retrain my brain to like, when I'm out, to be out of office, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, out for lunch, I have to just listen to the music on the surface. And ever since I figured that out and figured out how to turn that part of my brain off when music's on in my free time, I started enjoying music a lot better. And my work got better again too, because I didn't hate it, because I wasn't coming into work being like, why do I have to listen to more music? It's just like music. And that helps me too, because, as I've said a little bit, I guess I haven't really talked about it, but my main role the last 5 or so years is just mastering, like finishing records for people. And a really important part of that is being able to hear it as a consumer and not hear it as a like analytical, details-based producer standpoint. I'm not picking apart the songs. It's not my job to pick apart the songs anymore. My job is to make sure that when people hear it, they vibe with it and they love it and it feels right. So being able to turn off that part of my brain and just be like, is this fun, or is this sad, or is this emotional? Is the point of the song coming across? And that's really important to me, because I lost that for a while. Like in my late 20s, I was in this whole like, it can't, the snare has to be louder, and if this doesn't groove right, it's worthless. And that's important too, but that's not my job now, so I don't have to get so hard into the details. I can just hear it like other people are going to hear it, and
do you
try to make sure it vibes that way.
Do you enjoy this portion of it like more now, because you get mastering from, I've never like really done it, but the way I understand it, you're kind of painting with like a much broader brush. Mm-hmm. You're not like notching out different frequencies necessarily on certain individual tracks. It's like, I got the whole thing. What can I do with it?
Yep.
And that creativity often comes out of limitations. And when you can't go in and change every single track to your liking, you kind of just have to work with the raw piece of meat that you have.
Yeah.
Is that like more inspiring to you?
I love it. It's I think it perplexes people sometimes when I tell them how much I love it, because they're like, "You're just what? What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm just like, I'm making sure, I'm making sure it vibes, and I love it because I get to work with a lot of awesome engineers, a lot of awesome producers and mixers that like put everything into it, and they're trusting me to take it to that final point. And for me, that holds a lot of weight, and I really feel like I have the ability to finalize things. And because I worked as a producer for so many years, I know when things are done, and I know how to be like, this is done. And I think that's a lot of the battle. A lot of times where people are like, I'm just, mixers or producers, it's just like, bands, we're just going and going and going, and we don't know when it's done, or we think it's done, but there's this thing I'm hearing and this and that. And I have no problem taking things and like knowing when it's right. And I'll send something back too. If someone sends me something and I'm like, I don't know, I'm hearing this or that. What do you think about hitting that one more time? And we're working that out and seeing, if we can clean this or that up, which it's usually not like musical based stuff. It's like, I can't hear the kick on the one in this part, and so the chorus doesn't really hit. And I know you guys like have all this worked out, but if you don't mind just turning the kick up like 2 dB there, it's gonna make the whole thing like hit a lot harder, and I'll be able to do my job better because I'm not limited by this chorus that doesn't have a transient at the beginning of it. You know what I mean? It's little stuff like that. Or like, I know you were mixing into this certain limiter, but your snare is so loud when I'm actually like mastering it the right way. Can I get a version with like 2 dB less snare? Things like that happen. And but I enjoy it because I get to work with a lot of awesome bands. I work in more volume. I'm not working on the same record for 3 months, like spinning my gears on it. I hear things fresh, and I get to work on them and then move on to the next project. And I really enjoy that.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Good Hertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblintsaudio.com. You're gonna like what you find.
Start your day with Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal. The instant oatmeal ready to help you tackle whatever your day brings, like wrangling your toddler into their car seat. That was fun. coaching your 6th graders soccer team. Go girls! And carrying all the groceries in one trip. Whew. Try Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal, Granola, and Bars. Great taste and a good source of protein. Quaker, bring out the good.
This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. Underwear drawers are like the Wild West of wardrobes. You never know what pair you're going to pull out or what shape it's in. So upgrade your underwear drawer with the buttery soft comfort of MeUndies. MeUndies' signature fabric is as soft and comfy as your favorite sweater. Plus, it's breathable, making it ideal for all-day wear. Get 20% off your first order, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/Spotify. Enter promo code Spotify. That's MeUndies.com/Spotify, code Spotify.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because like mastering, while like, I think it does confuse a lot of people, even those that have been involved with it a little bit. I have had firsthand experience with being so excited. We spent all this time mixing the record and it sounded pretty good when we sent it off. And then getting it back from the mastering engineer and being like, what happened? Like
in a bad way?
Yeah, in a bad way. Yeah. We were like, sounded better before we sent it to, and then because that was my first realization that it could have such a big impact, negative or positive.
Yeah.
I was like, this sounds worse than it did when we sent it off. How is that? We paid this guy a fair bit of money.
It's unfortunate.
And to be fair, we got it worked out, and it ended up being great. But the first Passover, we were like, what? I thought this guy was a professional.
Yeah, sometimes that just happens. There's things that there's different factors to it for sure.
It could have been,
but honestly,
that's
literally why I started mastering my own stuff in the early 2000s is because I was paying money and sending it out, but bands were like, this sounds worse than what you gave us, and what you gave us was loud enough and stuff, and so. I got really deep into it because I knew that I had to be good at that for any of the rest of it to work if I was going to be the one mastering my own, my stuff, which branched into mastering other people's stuff. And it does happen. And there's a few things. The reality is there's a lot of guys out there that call themselves mastering engineers that aren't really. And that just is what it is. The internet, you can say whatever you can tell people you are, whatever you want to be, and it doesn't mean you actually are. And that's not just mastering. I mean, that's literally everything.
Yeah.
And then, there's guys there's bigger mastering houses that, have been in it since the 70s, 80s. And they mostly work with major label stuff. And something I run into that I find happens with bands is smaller bands. They budget for so these bigger mastering houses, they charge a lot anyways, and they should. They've, mastered a lot of incredible records, and they charge quite a bit for revisions. And bands don't really realize that these guys are coming into it planning on doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 revisions, because that's how they're used to working in the major label world, especially the older major label world. So bands come into it being like, this is our budget. We're going to stretch the budget to have this guy master the record. That's a few $1,000s, but they're not budgeting in revisions because what they hear from the record is like revision 7 on a super famous album, right? This happens in mixing too. This happens everywhere in music production. Bands just don't, and they shouldn't realize it. It just is what it is, but it happens. And then, they pay someone thousands of dollars to do something that other people would do for less. And there's always someone that'll do stuff for less, but
there's people who do it for free. Eventually.
Yeah, exactly. There's people who do it for free, but there's a happy medium, I think. And that happens, and people get like the shock from the fact that the master doesn't sound like what they think it's going to sound. And then they also get the sticker shock, and then they're like, well, now I don't know what to do because, we're not realizing that we were going to have to, put a lot more into this for multiple revisions and stuff. And there's a lot of miscommunications in that way. And another big, I won't go on this for too long, but the other big miscommunication that happens, especially now, since the mid O's up until now, it's been more and more popular to mix into a limiter, right? which I did too, which was part of the problem that happened. Like, it's that why I stopped working with mastering engineers, because I didn't understand this really. But what happens is people mix into a limiter, they spend months, or days, weeks, months making this mix that's perfect. And whether it's like a professional mixer working with a band or a band mixing themselves, everyone has come together and put everything into this song or this album, and they have approved sonically this version that's limited, right? And if you don't know what a limiter is, it changes the sound very drastically. I could get way into it and I won't, but you can look it up. It's an effect that changes the sound quite a bit, and it helps understand how a mix will sound after it's mastered. But the problem, what happens to me, and I specifically request that people don't do this, but what happens is people don't send me that version, because when you send something to get mastered, you have to take the limiter off. Mm-hmm. The mix has to not have a limiter on it, because there's not very many options at that point. You're basically finalizing it. The limiter is like the finalizer for people that don't know what limiting is. So you're mixing into this finalizing piece of gear or finalizing plugin, and then everyone's so happy with it, and you've perfected it in this way, and then you take that finalizing piece of gear or plugin off, and the mix sounds completely different. And then I get sent the mix with the limiter off, but I don't get sent what everyone has put their heart and soul into. Mm-hmm. And I have no idea what they're expecting. And I always tell people, if you're listening to a loud version or you're listening to a limited version, please send that as well. Because I'd like to hear what you've been hearing, and I want to hear the mixes that you approved. So I know where your head's at and what everybody wants out of this album, right? Like, I can't guess it. When you send me a super quiet mix that has a effect that's been on the whole time has been removed, and I can't guess what that effect was. You know what I mean? So but it still happens. People will still send me a mix, and they don't send me their loud version, their limited version. And even a lot of times people are still like, oh my God, this is great. But I'd say 1 in every 20 where that doesn't happen, someone's like, why is it so quiet? Or why is it this or that? And it's like, well, I just took what you gave me and I did what made sense to me based on that. But I have no idea what you guys have been listening to realize that this whole time you've been listening to a mix that has like fake stereo widening on it. So the guitars are like 10 times louder. It has ozone master rebalance on it. So the vocals are 5 times louder than what I was sent. Like, I can't guess that that's what you thought the record was supposed to sound like. Mm-hmm. So I need to hear that stuff so I can understand what I'm supposed to do. And like you were saying, that happens a lot. And not just to me, like any mastering engineer, that happens because people don't always realize that that you should send both. So we can understand what the pathway is and what the vision was for the record. Because people spend so long and put so much into stuff. Like, I can't always guess that. Like, sometimes I can. I'm pretty good at it. But like I can't always do it. And so I don't always win it. So the second revision is always me being like, okay, now I'm finding out that you're listening to a loud version. Even though I said, please send me the loud version, and you didn't. Send me the loud version now so I can hear what you were doing, so I can get in that realm and beat it. Like, that's the whole point, right? You're paying me to beat what you've done and make it better. And I can't beat it. I can't finish a race if I don't know where the finish line is, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and like people like me, I know just enough to be dangerous, right? So like our first record, I didn't know anything. I was just like, hit guitar, make sound, which is, mostly what I do. And my buddy Leon was doing the mixing. He knew a lot more about it and was way better at it. But this is going back a decade or more. Like, he maybe did exactly what you're saying. I don't know. Because I didn't know anything about mixing at the time. I know a little bit more now. But he maybe did that, and maybe that's why the first revision we got back sounded terrible to us, because maybe that's what happened.
It's pretty common.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's pretty common, and it was more common then. I think it's a little more. I think there's more. I think mastering engineers are better about saying that up front now. I think mastering engineers are better about accepting that. I had experiences when I, in the early 2000s where I was working on records and I would mix into a limiter, and I learned quick. I learned like the first 2 records where I didn't send the limited version and I got something back. It was pretty obvious to me. I was like, well, it makes sense because this guy wasn't hearing what we've been hearing this whole time. So from now on, I'm going to send a reference master. But then I would get people being like, oh, you're just like a kid. Like I didn't even like, I had a couple big name mastering engineers just be like totally cool guy me and be like, I don't have to listen to that. And then what they sent back was trash and they got fired and the band released what I mastered. And it's not because I was better at mastering, but it was because I was there for the entire vision and the other people just kind of ignored it. And I don't think at that point in time, a lot of mastering engineers were in this mindset of like, of accepting that people were mixing into a limiter, because that's a digital thing. That wasn't really happening when people were mixing on consoles and stuff, Right. It's definitely a digital way, but it's a good way because it does prepare your mix to be better for mastering. There's just like this chain of this style of communication that has to happen, and acceptance, that I need to hear your version. Mastering engineer, if I'm the mixer, mastering engineer needs to hear my version, because this is what we want. And we're here for you to make what I did better, not for you to just like put a stamp on it and
and then
walk away.
Then on the flip side, when I did a solo record during COVID, like everybody did, and I sent it off to somebody who offered to help, and he was like, I did a little bit, but honestly, like you peaked everything out so hard. Like there's not a lot of room for me to go like to do much. And I was like, oh, you're right, I did. And I'm like, because this is just me going like, I don't know, set the microphones up in here. And like, I knew, again, just enough to be dangerous. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. But it was truly like just a guitar player with 4 billion pedals and a bunch of amps in a room and just like, don't get it to red line. Just go just under the red line. That's where you want it, right? And I just left it all there. So there wasn't. I did the mix on that and got it to where I'm happy with it. But yeah, it was an interesting learning experience too to get it back from a couple of people. And they were like, "Hey, you didn't leave me enough room to do much." So I kind of compressed a little, and that's all there was to do.
That's part of my job too, is to know when I don't need to do that much. And sometimes my job is literally just to prepare things to sound good in streaming and the best it can on vinyl and all that stuff. It's not necessarily to put my sonic imprint on it. There's some mixers I work with that send things that are so freaking hot that there really isn't that much to do, but it's what everybody liked and everybody's happy with it, but they're not confident enough. Like I said earlier, they're not confident enough to be like, this is ready to be on the internet, or this is ready to be on vinyl. And so they send it to me, and then I make sure I'm more of proofing things and making sure the correct headroom for the correct format is there and all that stuff. And doing that. But that's important too. And that's something that I experienced also younger, is that like I would work with these mastering engineers that felt like they had to do a lot. And you don't always. I mean, sometimes you do. It just depends. I think being discerning and knowing when to do things and when not to do things is a really important part of my job.
Wow, that flew by. We're already at the hour mark. How did that happen? I was just grooving there. That was a good.
Yeah,
time,
I mean,
man.
I told you in text I could talk.
Perfect.
We could do 8 hours of this, and I just. Give me a glass of water.
I might take you up on that. Actually, we'll have to have you back on. We can do 8 hours. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Sure, we could do like a telethon or something.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2. I think my longest ever session was about 4 hours or so.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Shout out Yvette. She was awesome.
Yeah, Young?
Yep.
Yeah. She rolls.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's been on several times, and she's amazing every time.
That's awesome.
Yep. I think she's due back here pretty soon. We'll get that on the schedule. But I always wrap these up, especially the first time somebody's on, with 2 classic questions. But before I do that, I like to give the guests a chance to take the stage. You're talking to a few thousand people right now. plug anything you want to plug, shout out anybody you want to shout out. The floor is yours.
Well, we're a little early. I've got a cool plugin coming out, but it's going to be a little while. That's in the works, but I'm really excited about that. So that's not really a plug. Now that I've told you how much social media sucks, find me on Instagram. It's just KCRUMMETT. I think another thing I'll say is like, don't be afraid to hit me up for projects or for knowledge or anything. You know, I'm not always super quick to get back to people. If it's a project, I'll get back to you quickly. But if it's not, I try to get back to everybody, and I like sharing knowledge, and I like being an anti-gatekeeper. So, find me and feel free to hit me up about stuff. Aside from that, I think that's
pretty good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, the link to Kris's social media will be in the show notes or the description or whatever it's called on whatever platform you're getting this on. Where the words are, that's where it will be. So go look for that there. It'll be nice and easy, and you can give them a follow through that. All right. Final questions. First one. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Oh. This is tough because I have like certain relationships with certain Boss pedals that I'm going to go with one that has two names, and it's this is really not the right answer, but just because it was so weird, and it really, like, when I was playing guitar in bands, I use this a lot, but I think the one I had for the longest was the Super Distortion Feedbacker.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure there's also a model called the Super Feedbacker Distortion.
There is, and I don't remember if they're actually different or not.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
Okay.
Well, so there's like a few differences in them. I think like chip-wise, because I remember the bandmate I had he had the opposite one. Mm-hmm. And while the distortion sounded the same, the way the harmonics, like when you held a chord, and because the whole thing with that pedal is you hold a chord, you hold a note, and then you hold it down, and it makes this fake feedback sound.
Yes.
But what's cool is you could play riffs where you like get that sound generated, and then you play, and then every time you stop, that like generated tone comes in. Mm-hmm. But I could plug into his, and his generated tone was always like a different harmony than what mine would do, which ended up being really cool because we'd be playing the same part, but when you'd stop, the generated tone would be like a harmony between our two guitars.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And I just always thought that was a fun pedal. And I've always been like very into noise. I'm a huge Sonic Youth fan. And like the Super Distortion Feedbacker is the most like noob entry level way to be into that. But it's fun to like, because you can get real feedback. And then as your feedback fades, the fake feedback like pops in. There's pretty cool stuff you can do with it. But can I give you my second? Can I give you a runner up?
Yeah,
because this is tough. So, the HF2, right? The high band flanger.
The high band flanger. Yeah.
Is that the HF2 or is it?
I believe that's right.
Yeah. Also amazing for feedback. That's like the best. That's like when you listen to like Tool, when you listen to like Inema or that other early Tool stuff, and it sounds like birds in the feedback. That's like that flanger or a flanger that's similar. They might not use that exact flanger, but when I was playing, that was always the one that got me that like high frequency, like bird chirping sound. So I could literally just like pop that on, turn around to my amp, and let that just make this crazy sound, And it looks cool because you don't even have to do that much, or you can throw your guitar around and it just goes wild. So
I love it.
Those are my picks.
Yeah.
Noisy.
Yeah.
Love it.
Once in a while, mine was always bouncing around. Once in a while, the BF2, the flanger, gets
also
in there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I love that one. And I'm realizing now, I haven't played with mine in a while. I'm gonna have to bust that out later today. So
I like a lot. I have a lot of Boss pedals. I have a bunch of modified Boss pedals that I really like too.
Yeah.
But absolutely love Boss. Makes some great stuff.
Yeah, I do. I love Boss too. I'm a big fan, and the guys over there are super cool. And I love Boss.
Yeah,
love them.
Great company.
They don't sponsor the show, but I do ask that question on almost every episode.
No, that's cool. I love it's a very universal, like, there's a lot of good answers too. There's a lot of good answers.
The TU2 and the TU3 are the most popular answers. I can tell you that much. Yeah.
That's funny. I kind of hate the TU3, but that's okay.
I haven't played the 3. I've only used the 2 because
two's fine. My 3 came uncalibrated out of the box, and it caused me a bunch of trouble, and I swore I would never use a Boss tuner again after that.
Wow. That's unusual.
Yeah, I got like halfway through a record and realized we were like 10 cents sharp because the tuner wasn't calibrated correctly. Yeah, it was rough. And then I realized every other tuner was right and that the TU3 was wrong. So
no.
Yeah, I don't want to. I feel bad I'm talking about Boss now, but every other Boss pedal is great.
Yeah, well, that is
a lot of great pedals.
That's grudge worthy, I would say. That really messes up the project.
But I don't hate Boss for it. I just don't like the TU3.
Fair enough. All right, final question, and this will be good because you're local. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Man, I love pizza so much.
Me too.
This is
really
tough. Well, my favorite, if I'm like, oh man, I just want I want heaven in a pizza right now. It's Pizza Jerk, and the specific pizza is Always Sunny in Coley. Coley is a neighborhood in Portland, and the Always Sunny in Coley is an amazing pizza, but it has pineapple. So if you're a pineapple hater, tough luck.
I am a pineapple hater, but I still do.
Well, you can get it without the pineapple.
I'm specifically a pineapple hater, though. That's what I have to clarify. Not a pineapple on pizza hater. You just don't like pineapple. That's fine. Like I get it. Yeah. I get it. But I do like El Pastor, so I kind of got a little bit of a hypocritical streak in there too.
That's tough. You should try the Always Sunny. It's pretty good. I don't know if you've had that.
I've had Pizza Jerk several times. I usually go for like a half pepperoni, and I don't know if they still do it because it's been a while since I've been there, but the half clam.
I think they do. Yeah. That's an awesome pizza too.
The clam, I always tell people, like, don't get the clam being in the mood for pizza. Get it being in the mood for clam chowder. And go with that attitude, and then you'll be really happy. But what's really great is when you do the half and half with the pizza, with the pepperoni and the clam, you get those slices that merge.
Yeah.
And those are the best slices. Those are so good.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, Pizza Jerk is great.
Love Pizza Jerk, Scotty's Pizza Parlor. Love them. Pizza Thief up in Northwest.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I'm still waiting for Jerry to make pizza again. Do you know about Jerry?
No. Or maybe
Jerry's Pizza started during lockdown. This dude, Jerry, was making pizza out of his home. And you had
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you had to get on a waiting list, and it was like a speakeasy situation. You go up and get it, and then he kind of started doing it out of a bar in a more legit way, but you still had to get on the waiting list and pre-order and stuff.
Yeah.
But his real dream was to open his own Midwest bar.
Yeah.
And so he was making these Chicago-style thin crust tavern pizzas that were just
that sounds awesome,
amazing. And he got his bar. It's up there in Northwest, not too far from Pizza Thief, actually.
Okay.
And has not made pizza yet.
Oh, no. What's the bar called?
Jerry's Bar.
Oh, Jerry's Bar. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've never been there, but the pizza that he used to make was I still dream of it. It was incredible. But maybe one day he'll be back on. Fingers crossed.
We've got some good pizza here. I think ranch, it's a weird kind of pizza, but I kind of love ranch pizza. I've come around on that. It's have you had ranch?
Yeah, it's a Detroit style.
Yeah. There's very little cheese or no cheese, depending on what you get, and it's super thick crust. It's more like a breadstick with toppings, but I like it. I like changing it up. I like so much pizza. Man, I'll go to Round Table. I really like Round Table. I mix it up with the pizza.
I haven't been to Round Table in a very long time, but my go-to, and it tastes like my childhood every time, is Papa Murphy's.
Yeah, so I grew up on that too. Papa Aldo's. You go. I don't know how old you are.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it used to be called Papa Aldo's, and there was one right by my house growing up that was basically on the way home from everything. So if it was a later day,
this is really weird because I had the exact same scenario.
Yeah. My parents would pick up a take and bake, and that was our thing. Especially Fridays. It was mainly Fridays. Rent a movie, dude. When I was super young, we'd rent a VHS player, rent a movie, and get a Papa Aldo's pizza, which is Papa Murphy's now.
Man.
The unfortunate thing is that the Papa Murphy's near me now is like awful. Every time I go there, there's like no seasoning in the crust. Like,
oh no,
it's a bummer. So I've kind of gotten out of the habit of that. But I do like it. If I went back to Hillsboro, I'd get a Papa Murphy's pizza for sure.
Yeah. It's better if you put it on a pellet smoker. That's a little hack.
Yeah. We have a green egg, so doing pizza on a pizza stone on the green egg is awesome.
It is.
It's not the same as a pellet smoker, but it's in that genre for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You're using lump charcoal and
it's a similar vibe.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, Papa Murphy's is a weird one because while I concede it's not the best pizza, and I know Scotty, if he hears this, he's gonna be mad at me for saying this because he's very good at making pizza and he's very particular about his pizza, but you can't erase nostalgia from the equation.
Yeah,
it's just there.
That's why I like Round Table. It's like the ultimate pizza parlor, pizza and breadsticks and salad bar type pizza of all time. It's great. I like to get bougie with a lot of food. I do. I like some fancy restaurants and high-end things and hipster things. I like all that stuff. But sometimes I like to go the opposite direction. And that's fun too. Yeah. Yep. Throw a frozen pot pie in the oven.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's dirt bag it up.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, Kris, thank you so much for hanging out, and we'll slide over to Patreon, see what kind of nonsense we can get into if that works for you.
Yeah, that works for me.
Cool. All right, everybody. For Kris, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Alrighty, folks, I hope you enjoy that episode. If you want to hear Kris and I get weird, get into some topics that maybe aren't fit for the general audience, head over to Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can get access to the ad-free feed and literally help keep the lights on in the Shred Shed. I really appreciate you, especially because I'm recording this the night before my HVAC dude comes out to replace the whole system in the Shred Shed and the house, which is not something I was looking forward to, financially speaking. But if you want to help keep my family hot or cold, depending on the weather, you could go over to Patreon and help out over there and get access to the ad-free feed and the bonus episodes that are available every single week. Additionally, you could just tell a friend. That's free, and that helps me out too. So if you could tell a friend about this podcast, that would mean the world to me. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I appreciate you. And if you need more of my rambling, there's, of course, Tape Spaghetti, the podcast I do with my buddy Scott Marquardt, where we dive into all sorts of weird things, music, from strange career arcs to literal murders, all of which take place in this weird thing called the music industry. So Tape Spaghetti is available wherever you get this podcast. And as long as I know that this podcast is getting more downloads than that one, I'm going to have to keep plugging it. So go over there and check it out, would you? Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you on the internet very soon. Bye-bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.
We all want to know, what makes people tick?
How will they make decisions?
Handle feedback?
And work
as a team.
The Predictive Index Behavioral Assessment reveals how employees actually think, work, and thrive. Like how Marcus fits in a role with structure, and Margot's strength is collaborating with others. Because when we understand each other, work just works. Take the behavioral assessment today at try.predictiveindex.com.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.